Thai government claims Chinese tourist numbers dropped nearly 35% this year, impacting the industry. However, many locals are actually clapping their hands in approval. A taxi driver named Pun believes fewer Chinese tourists is a good thing. He points to street-side hotels, noting they used to be packed with Chinese groups, but now mainly serve European, American, and Japanese guests.
He says, "We Thais actually don't like Chinese tourists very much because they often engage in shady deals and operate on the edge of the law. I hate that." Pun notes Chinese visitors used to prefer luxury spending, but now most are independent travelers valuing culture and experiences. He says he welcomes this type of tourist more. Many Thai business owners also complain that cheap Chinese products and low-cost shopping tours have hurt their trade, leading to increasingly negative views. Beyond the public's negative view, some scholars believe Thailand's industry shouldn't rely on tourists from a single country. A study on the industry notes that while the influx of Chinese tourists brought growth, it raised concerns among locals. This reflects the structural risks of relying on a single-source market. Sunthorn Bunkao, a lecturer at Walalok University, states that relying too heavily on one market makes Thailand economically vulnerable and urges the country to accelerate the development of diverse tourism sources. This is also linked to the recent reputation of Chinese people abroad. More Thais believe the trouble and noise caused by Chinese tourists are far more bothersome than the money they spend. In February 2025, a 33-year-old tourist named Hua was filmed in Chiang Mai spray painting cartoons on IZ's metal gate. He was later arrested by police. Residents were furious, feeling it was not only a public disturbance but also disrespectful to the community. In October 2024, a video of a Chinese tourist using a slingshot to shoot birds caused a stir. In the clip, Chinese customers discuss, "How could birds come here?" before a boy shouts, "Ali." Ali is internet slang for "go for it." Several Thai media outlets reported the video. Many netizens expressed frustration in the comments. One person said, "Honestly, some Chinese tourists shouldn't be allowed entry. They bring their country's habits here and it is really annoying. Like when I was at a buffet, Chinese tourists took whole plates of pork and shrimp, ignoring others and acting loud." Another netizen commented, "Most Chinese tour groups have poor manners, and sometimes tours are zero cost, with Chinese guides, restaurants, and hotels." It is bothersome. Why do most Chinese people not respect the laws of other countries? They carry bad habits everywhere. A blogger noted some tourists are capable of wild acts, like the man who threw a peacock at a zoo in China. Bringing such habits abroad is shameful. There are also actions that seem less severe but still leave a bad impression, like public drunkenness or shouting. These incidents get filmed. Thai media often feature headlines about Chinese tourists losing control due to drunkenness, shouting at airports, or arguing with staff. These videos, often with insults, reinforce negative stereotypes. It isn't just Thailand. Malaysia, South Korea, and Japan also have negative impressions. Recently, a video surfaced on Malaysian social media of a Chinese woman throwing coffee at a staff member and verbally abusing her in a chain shop. Many Malaysians commented that the visa-free policy for Chinese tourists has led to chaos. South Korea's situation is similarly complex. On September 25, 2025, South Korea opened visa-free entry for group tours, causing a surge in numbers. However, reports of public urination sparked complaints. A sentiment that remains deeply ingrained despite recent improvements. With China-Japan tensions rising, tourists turn to South Korea, making Seoul the top choice. But Korean netizens are split. The economy welcomes them, but the culture rejects them. Japan has stronger political overtones. In 2025, Chinese tourist numbers dropped sharply due to political remarks, falling to 715,000 in October. Tourism stocks plunged, losing about $14 billion. On Reddit, Japanese users complained about Chinese tourists being impolite. These cases reflect a global challenge regarding the Chinese tourist image. Such incidents are rising, and the label is losing its neutral meaning. It now symbolizes disorder, not just noise or littering, but entitlement, cutting lines, bossing staff, and treating foreign cities like disposable amusement parks. The problem isn't just the tourists. It is decades of industry development training them this way. Low-cost tours, forced shopping, and commission-based guides. The entire chain prioritizes filling seats and pushing shopping rather than promoting respect for local life and culture. At the core is the CCP's development philosophy. As long as GDP looks good and outbound numbers are high, it doesn't matter if resident quality of life or environmental carrying capacity is neglected. So, the government proudly reports that outbound tourism hit a new high. Yet, in the hearts of Thai people, a sentiment brews that it would be better if fewer Chinese came. Furthermore, gray market activities involving Chinese nationals have greatly irritated locals. This infamous reputation extends to the prison system. On November 22, 2025, Thai media exposed a shocking corruption case at Bangkok's Central Prison centering on Chinese criminals. Investigations revealed that these prisoners, using huge bribes, had almost bought the entire prison management. Items like banned electronics and knives were casually brought into cells. Even more outrageous, these Chinese prisoners hired Chinese models for sexual services, bypassing security checks with the help of guards and using secret passages to enter their cells. Exposed, the furious justice minister replaced the warden and launched an investigation. For Thai society, this isn't just corruption. It confirms an unsettling reality. The power of Chinese cross-border criminal groups is so strong they can manipulate even Thai prisons. Beyond large cases, widespread gray market behaviors have created weary emotions in Thai society. Illegal labor is a prominent issue. The Ministry of Labor set up a task force to investigate this so-called gray Chinese labor problem. They discovered many Chinese nationals working jobs prohibited for foreigners. For example, 2 women were arrested for working illegally at a costume shop near the Grand Palace while on tourist visas. Locals now associate Chinese tourists with illegal workers, feeling they are here to take jobs, not spend money. Secondly, fake medicines and beauty products cause frequent problems. In March 2025, the FDA uncovered a major case involving counterfeit cosmetics and food imported from China. They totaled approximately $143 million, with nearly all of it flowing in from China. Illegal implants and unregistered medicines were also found in Bangkok. These gray operations backfire on local businesses. In the past, Thai owners relied on quality products and personal service to make real profits from each visitor. However, with low-cost tours, tourists are dragged into fixed duty-free shops, jade shops, and latex stores. The money spent doesn't go to Thai owners, but is pocketed by group buying companies and guides from China. Many local owners angrily say customers come to play, but the money goes back to their own country. Frustratingly, most products sold on these tours are low-cost goods directly from China. No matter the fancy packaging, they are cheap items marked up 3 to 5 times. Local shops near attractions, once reliant on honest business, now face sharp drops due to this monopoly. Locals see buses of Chinese tourists but make few sales. This psychological gap builds over time, leading to negative impressions among vendors. For Thai society, this model driven by Chinese capital disrupts the normal market system. Over time, many Thais have associated low-cost tours and cheap goods with a negative label. From another perspective, the decline in tourists shows Chinese people simply have less money. For a decade, China was the top international spender. But this was built on real estate prosperity and income growth. Now those pillars are collapsing. Whether it is declining incomes, mortgage pressures, or unemployment, more Chinese families are crossing international travel off their budgets. Polls show disposable income and future expectations are declining. Since travel isn't a basic need, it is the first expense cut when money is tight. Thailand, which relied on Chinese tourists for 25 to 30% of revenue, is directly impacted. It isn't about disliking Thailand, it is about real economic issues. Middle-class Chinese who visited multiple times a year can't afford one trip now. Previously, they stayed in 5-star hotels and chartered boats. Now, they stick to domestic travel or cheap weekend trips. The once lavish Chinese tourists are disappearing, replaced by budget-conscious travelers sensitive to prices. This trend isn't unique to Thailand. Japan, South Korea, and Singapore also report a sharp drop in average spending per tourist. Crucially, the domestic environment makes people reluctant to spend. Real estate is frozen, and employment is unstable. Social sentiment is conservative. Young people face debt, while families are squeezed by mortgages and education, leaving them unable to consume. They used to say Bangkok is cheaper than domestic travel, but now airfare has risen and the yuan is weakening. With Thailand's rising prices and reliance on Western tourists, Chinese visitors with shrinking incomes are naturally hesitant. Many realize their cheap destination is becoming expensive. Thus, the 35% drop seems sudden, but is the inevitable result of economic trends. It isn't that they don't like Thailand, but they lack money and are uncertain about the future. International tourism is a barometer of economic confidence. When Chinese people feel the pinch, dependent countries like Thailand feel the chill. Some believe the decline is also due to security concerns related to Myanmar's online fraud centers. The spark was the incident involving actor Wong Ching, trafficked from Thailand to a Myanmar scam center earlier this year. Although Thai police denied local involvement, the rumor that Thailand is a transit point for scams has become widespread. As the fraud chain unravels, the world has taken action. The US, UK, and South Korea sanctioned Cambodia's Prince Group and named Myanmar's networks a threat. However, China remains silent, issuing no official statements about the Prince Group.
Thailand และ UN consider trapped Chinese citizens as humanitarian victims และ assist rescues. In contrast, China insists on treating many victims as suspects. This indifference from the Chinese government stands in sharp contrast.
The deeper issue is that these scam centers aren't disconnected from the CCP. One owner attended a state banquet with Xi Jinping in the Philippines. Another figure, Golden Tiger, owns companies in China and maintains ties with local police. Sources reveal many Chinese officers know this boss. The tech, capital, and labor fueling the fraud empire come from China's established gray markets. Thus, Myanmar scams are directly linked to the CCP's long-standing tolerance of gray capital outflow. Beijing only acted after international exposure. Yet the profit chains and protection networks benefiting from the situation remain largely intact. One netizen pointed out that the decline in tourists signals a tourism shrinkage. Beneath the surface, it reveals the CCP's export of gray ecosystems and dysfunction. When countries avoid Chinese tourists, the disgrace falls not on the people, but on the regime casting a shadow over them.